The gift that no one wanted. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at attention in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, her ceremonial uniform pristine despite the sweltering atmosphere maintained for the comfort of the various xenomorphic species present. The massive chamber, carved from a single asteroid of pure crystal, sparkled with the light of 1,000 stars streaming through its transparent walls. This should have been humanity's proudest moment, their official acceptance into the Galactic Council after centuries of isolation. Instead, she could taste the condescension in the air as clearly as the metallic tang of the recycled atmosphere. And so, droned High Counselor Zixtal, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns that humans had learned indicated amusement, we bestow upon our newest associates this vessel of great historical significance. The massive hangar doors slid open with a grinding screech that made several council members visibly wince. The ship that floated through was ancient, not the dignified ancient of Earth's pyramids or the weathered ancient of its medieval castles. This was the ancient of a computer from the 1980s found in a flooded basement. Its hull was a patchwork of mismatched metals, some showing signs of hasty repair work that looked older than human civilization. What might have once been the bridge was now a twisted mass of structural supports holding together what appeared to be 3 different command modules from 3 entirely different species' architectural styles. The Starweaver, Zixtal announced with what Chen could have sworn was barely suppressed laughter. A vessel that predates even the founding of this council. We trust you will find it suitable for your current level of technological development. Chen's XO, Commander David Rivera, shifted slightly beside her, the closest he'd allow himself to showing displeasure in such a formal setting. But Chen had worked with him long enough to know he was already cataloging every subtle insult, every diplomatic slight contained in this gift. "The Galactic Council honors us," Chen replied, her voice steady and diplomatic. She practiced this response for hours, knowing something like this might happen. Humanity accepts this symbol of our new relationship with profound gratitude. The journey back to Earth's orbital shipyard was silent, save for the constant groaning of the Starweaver's ancient hull as it was carefully towed by their modern escort vessels. It wasn't until they were safely within the privacy of Chen's office in Lunar Command that Rivera finally spoke. "They gave us garbage," he said flatly, pacing the room. "Literal space garbage. And we had to smile and thank them for it." Chen sat at her desk, studying the preliminary scans of their new acquisition. "Did you notice how they couldn't quite hide their smirks? All of them, even the species we can barely read. Hard to miss. I counted at least 3 different council members recording the ceremony with personal devices. I'm sure we're going to be the laugh of the galaxy by tomorrow." Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. "And did you notice how carefully they washed us? Not just during the ceremony, but especially during the initial engineering inspection." Rivera stopped pacing. "You think they're hiding something?" "I think," Chen replied, pulling up a more detailed scan on her holographic display, "that no one goes to this much effort to give someone garbage unless they're trying very hard to make it look like garbage." She highlighted several sections of the scan where energy readings simply didn't match what they were seeing. "And I think it's time we assembled a team to find out exactly what the Council is so interested in us not finding." Within 48 hours, the Starweaver had been moved to a secure dock within the asteroid belt, far from prying eyes. A hand-picked team of Earth's finest engineers, physicists, and synorchaeologists began the painstaking process of documenting every circuit, every weld, every seemingly random patch of hull plating. Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading expert in xenotechnology, stood in what they'd designated as the ship's primary engineering bay, surrounded by holographic displays showing layer upon layer of the ship's systems. "It's like someone deliberately created chaos," she muttered, manipulating the display with practiced gestures. "Every time we think we found a pattern, it dissolves into random noise. But the energy readings," she shook her head. "There's something here we're not seeing. Keep looking," Chen ordered, studying the bewildering array of data herself. Whatever the Council is hiding, they clearly think we're too primitive to find it. Let's prove them wrong. As the teams worked through their third straight week of investigation, the first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Chen, no relation to the Admiral, a quantum physicist who specialized in theoretical propulsion systems, burst into the command center at 300 hours, still wearing his pajamas under his lab coat. "The chaos is the pattern," he exclaimed, immediately bringing up a complex mathematical model on the main display. "We've been trying to understand this ship by breaking it down into logical systems, but what if the seeming randomness is actually a quantum encoding system? Look at these energy fluctuations. They're not random at all. They're a coherent pattern operating on a quantum level, using the apparent chaos as camouflage." Admiral Chen studied the displays, a slow smile spreading across her face. "They didn't give us garbage," she said softly. "They gave us a puzzle box, and they're terrified we might actually solve it." As the first month of investigation drew to a close, Earth's finest minds began to unravel the first layers of the Starweaver's secrets. Beneath its deteriorating exterior lay technologies that the Council had claimed were impossible. Quantum processors that used chaos theory to perform calculations that should have taken centuries, hull plating that could phase shift at the atomic level, power systems that drew energy from what appeared to be multiple parallel universes simultaneously. The Starweaver wasn't garbage, it was a test, and humanity had just begun to pass it. Hidden in plain sight, Dr. Maya Patel hadn't slept in 36 hours, but she barely noticed. The holographic displays surrounding her workstation pulsed with data that would have seemed like nonsense 3 months ago. Now patterns emerged from the chaos like a symphony taking shape from random noise. The Starweaver's quantum processors hummed with an energy that defied conventional physics, and she was finally beginning to understand why. "The entire ship is a quantum computer," she explained to Admiral Chen during the daily briefing. "Not just the processors we found. Every piece of hull plating, every structural support, even the spaces between them. It's all part of one massive computational matrix." The Admiral leaned forward, studying the complex mathematical models floating in the air between them. And the deterioration, the apparent damage. Camouflage, brilliant camouflage. Maya manipulated the display, highlighting specific sections. The patches in the hull, they're quantum-entangled nodes. The structural damage creates interference patterns that actually enhance the ship's computational capacity. Even the rust isn't rust. It's a network of molecular-scale processors disguised as corrosion. Commander Rivera whistled softly. "So whoever built this thing wanted it to look like junk. But why give it to us? Because they're watching." Dr. James Chen interjected, entering the briefing room with a fresh set of data streams trailing behind him. "And they've been watching for a very long time." He brought up a new display, showing energy patterns recorded over the past 3 months. "Every time we make a breakthrough, every time we understand something new about the ship's systems, there's a corresponding pulse in the quantum field. It's subtle. We almost missed it. But the ship is reporting our progress to someone." Admiral Chen's expression hardened. "The Council?" "No," Maya replied, her eyes lighting up with understanding. "The ship's original builders. This isn't just a test. It's a message in a bottle, waiting for someone clever enough to read it." The next few weeks saw breakthrough after breakthrough as the team began to grasp the true scope of what they were dealing with. The Starweaver's systems weren't just advanced. They represented a fundamentally different approach to physics and engineering than anything humanity or the Council races had developed. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their lead quantum engineer, made the next major discovery. She had been studying what they thought was a damaged power coupling when she noticed something extraordinary. "The power doesn't flow through the ship's systems," she reported, her usually calm voice trembling with excitement. "The systems flow through the power. It's like the ship exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously, and the energy flow determines which state manifests in our reality." The implications were staggering. a ship that could essentially rewrite its own physical structure on the fly, adapting to any situation or threat. But the real breakthrough came when they finally decoded the first clear message hidden in the quantum noise. It appeared on every display in the research facility simultaneously, a simple string of numbers that translated into a single sentence in an ancient language that predated the Council. To those who see patterns in chaos, welcome to the next level. Admiral Chen immediately called an emergency meeting of the project leads. What do we know about the civilization that built this ship? She demanded. Dr. Sarah Martinez, their xenoarchaeologist, pulled up her findings. That's the fascinating part, she explained. According to Council records, they never existed. There's no mention of any civilization capable of this level of technology. But we found references in pre-Council artifacts. They were called the precursors by some species, the pattern makers by others. They supposedly vanish overnight, leaving behind only myths and legends. And apparently at least one very special ship, Rivera added. But why give it to us? Maya wondered aloud. Why not one of the more advanced Council races? Admiral Chen smiled grimly. Because we're chaos makers. Think about it. Every Council race we've encountered approaches problems with rigid, established methodologies. Their technology develops in predictable patterns. But humans? We're messy. We try things that shouldn't work. We see patterns where others see randomness. We break rules simply because we don't believe they should be rules. We think like they did, James Chen concluded. The precursors built a ship that looks like chaos to hide it from races that only understand order. The implications of their discoveries were enormous. The Starweaver wasn't just a ship. It was a legacy, a test, and a gift all in one. And humanity had just inherited technology that the Council races couldn't even comprehend, let alone replicate. But as the team worked to unlock more of the ship's secrets, they failed to notice a small quantum pulse that carried a very different message, transmitted on frequencies that only certain Council members would recognize. The message was brief, but clear. They're ready. Proceed to Phase 2. The game was about to change, and humanity's real test was just beginning. Breaking physical laws. The Starweaver's main engineering bay had transformed over the past 6 months. What had once looked like a junkyard now gleamed with purpose, every seemingly random component revealed as part of an intricate quantum matrix. Dr. Maya Patel stood at the central control interface, her fingers dancing across holographic controls that responded to thought as much as touch. Power systems are synchronized, she announced, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. Quantum field is stable at 97% coherence. Admiral Chen watched from the observation deck, accompanied by representatives from Earth's Unified Defense Council. This would be their first full-scale test of the ship's reconstructed systems. If they were right about its capabilities, they were about to rewrite the laws of physics. If they were wrong, they might tear a hole in space-time. Begin primary sequence, Chen ordered. The ship hummed to life, but not in any way their alien observers would have recognized. Instead of the traditional engine startup sequence, the Starweaver seemed to ripple, as if reality itself was having trouble deciding what state it should be in. Dr. James Chen monitored the quantum readings with growing excitement. Field coherence holding steady. Reality phase shift initiating in 3, 2, 1. The ship didn't disappear. It didn't blur or fade or transform. Instead, it simply was, and wasn't, simultaneously existing in multiple states that human eyes struggled to process. The effect lasted for precisely 3.14 seconds before the ship settled back into what appeared to be its original form. Did it work? One of the council members asked, squinting at seemingly unchanged vessel. Maya's laughter echoed through the comm system. Did it work? We just sent the entire ship through 17 parallel dimensions while maintaining perfect molecular cohesion. Look at the external cameras. The displays showed their test field, a carefully measured array of sensor buoys floating in space around the Starweaver. Every single one now registered the ship as being in a slightly different position, orientation, and even time frame. All simultaneously true according to their instruments. The Starweaver doesn't just move through space, Maya explained, her voice filled with wonder. It moves through possibility. Every quantum state it could potentially occupy, it does occupy, until we collapse the field and choose which reality we want to maintain. The implications were staggering. A ship that could literally be anywhere it might possibly be, until its crew decided where they actually wanted to end up. Perfect stealth, perfect maneuverability, and perfect defense all in one system. After all, how could you hit a target that existed in all possible locations simultaneously? But their triumph was short-lived. Within hours of the test, the first Council observers arrived in the system. Their ships were sleek, powerful, and clearly designed for military action rather than diplomatic missions. "They're scared," Commander Rivera observed, watching the Council vessels take up formation just outside the test area's boundaries. "They thought they were giving us a puzzle that would take centuries to solve, if we solved it at all. And instead we did it in months," Chen finished, "because we think differently than they do. Because we see patterns in chaos." The Council ships maintained their distance, but their presence was a clear message. Humanity's rapid progress had not gone unnoticed, and not everyone was happy about it. Then came the transmission that changed everything. It burst through all their communication channels simultaneously, encoded in the same quantum patterns they'd learned to recognize from the Starweaver. The message was brief, but clear. Convergence point approaching. The pattern requires balance. Choose wisely. Dr. Martinez, who had been studying the precursor language patterns, went pale. "Admiral," she said, her voice shaking slightly, "that wasn't just a message. According to what we've learned about precursor communication methods, that was a warning." "Of what?" Before she could answer, proximity alarms blared throughout the facility. The Council ships were moving, forming an attack pattern that their tactical systems recognized all too well. "They're not here to observe," Rivera reported grimly. "They're here to make sure we don't succeed where they failed. They're going to try to destroy the Starweaver." Admiral Chen's expression hardened as she took her command position. "Power up all systems," she ordered. "It's time to show the Council exactly what happens when you give humanity a puzzle box we're not supposed to solve." The Starweaver's quantum field hummed to life as both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reshape galactic politics forever. But in the quantum realm between realities, something else was stirring. Something that had waited eons for precisely this moment. The real test was about to begin, and its outcome would determine not just humanity's fate, but the fate of every sentient species in the galaxy. The proving ground. The Council fleet's formation was textbook perfect. 12 warships arranged in a deadly geometric pattern that had won countless battles across the galaxy. Their weapons powered up in perfect synchronization, energy readings climbing as they prepared to destroy what they saw as an existential threat to their established order. Inside the Starweaver's newly reconstructed bridge, Admiral Chen watched the enemy ships with an almost serene calm. "Status report," she ordered. "Quantum field stable at maximum coherence," Maya reported from her station. "Reality phase shifters ready on your command." "Multiple targeting locks detected," Rivera added. "They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore." The Council fleet's commander, a being of pure crystalline energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell, appeared on their main display. "Surrender the vessel," it demanded, its translated voice carrying the weight of millennia of absolute authority. "You have accessed knowledge your species is not prepared to wield." Chen's response was pointed. "Knowledge freely given, according to your own laws, or was the gift of the Starweaver not officially sanctioned by the Council?" "A test you were meant to fail," the commander replied. "The pattern must be maintained. The balance must." The transmission cut off as the Council ships opened fire. Energy beams capable of shattering planets lanced toward the Starweaver from multiple vectors, their trajectories calculated to ensure no possible escape. But they had fundamentally misunderstood what the Starweaver had become under human guidance. Now, Chen ordered quietly. Maya's fingers danced across her quantum interface. The Starweaver didn't dodge. It didn't raise shields or attempt evasive maneuvers. Instead, it existed everywhere the attacks weren't. Every beam of energy passed through space that, according to all physical laws, should have contained their target. The ship was simultaneously meters to the left, kilometers to the right, above, below, and in theoretical dimensions that the Council's sensors couldn't even detect. "Return fire," Chen commanded. "Non-lethal demonstration only." The Starweaver's response redefined the very concept of space warfare. Instead of launching traditional weapons, it created quantum probability cascades. Council ships found themselves experiencing multiple conflicting realities simultaneously, their weapons powered down and at full charge, their engines both engaged and offline, their crews both alert and unconscious. By all the laws of physics, the Council commander's voice crackled through their comms, a note of fear finally breaking through its artificial calm. "This should not be possible." "That's humanity's specialty," Chen replied. "We excel at making the impossible not just possible, but inevitable." But even as the Starweaver demonstrated its superiority, something vast stirred in the quantum realm. The space between realities began to twist, forming patterns that even the ship's advanced sensors struggled to comprehend. Dr. Martinez's station erupted with alerts. "Admiral, the quantum fluctuations, they're not random. They're forming some kind of language." Across every screen and holographic display, patterns emerged from chaos, symbols that predated the Council, predated even the precursors themselves, coalesced into a message that burned itself into the minds of all who saw it. The pattern is completed. Preparation phase, QONCLUDET. Initiating QOpenVERGNC. The Starweaver's systems began to pulse with energy that dwarfed anything they had yet witnessed. Both human and Council sensors detected quantum anomalies forming throughout the entire sector of space. "What's happening?" Rivera demanded, struggling to make sense of the readings. Maya's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "We weren't just solving a puzzle," she breathed. "We were completing a circuit. The Starweaver wasn't just a test. It's a key." "A key to what?" Chen asked, though part of her already knew the answer. Before Maya could respond, space itself seemed to fold. Reality rippled like the surface of a pond, and through that ripple emerged something that should not have been possible. A vast structure of impossible geometry, its surface covered in the same quantum patterns they had discovered within the Starweaver. "To us," a new voice answered, not through their communication systems, but directly in their minds. "To those who seeded the galaxies with life, waiting for the day when a species would arise that could truly understand the nature of reality itself." The Council ships hung motionless in space as the impossible structure continued to emerge from its quantum pocket universe. The true architects of life in the galaxy had returned, and humanity's handling of their test had proven the trigger. The universe would never be the same. Respect is earned. The vast structure that emerged from the quantum fold defied conventional geometry. It shifted and flowed like liquid mathematics, its surface covered in patterns that echoed those found within the Starweaver. Both human and Council sensors struggled to define its true dimensions, as it seemed to exist partially in realms of reality their instruments couldn't fully detect. Within the Starweaver's bridge, Admiral Chen and her crew found themselves in the presence of beings that transcended normal existence. They appeared as shifting patterns of light and energy, their forms suggesting both infinite complexity and elegant simplicity. "We are the architects." The collective consciousness of these beings resonated within their minds. "We who first understood that reality itself is but one pattern among infinite possibilities." The Council ships remained frozen in space, their weapons powered down, their crews witnessing what many had long dismissed as mere legend. The return of those who had seeded the galaxy with life itself. The gift of the Starweaver, the architects continued, was more than a test. It was a question. Who among our children would understand that order and chaos are not opposites, but complementary forces. Who would see that true advancement comes not from imposing rigid structure, but from dancing between order and randomness? Maya's eyes widened with sudden understanding. The quantum patterns, they weren't just a propulsion system or a weapon. They were a demonstration of how reality actually works. Precisely, the architects acknowledged. The council races sought to impose order upon the universe, to create a rigid hierarchy of development and advancement. But you, humanity, embrace chaos while seeking patterns within it. You understand instinctively what the council forgot, that evolution requires both stability and change. The crystalline commander of the council fleet found its voice. But the pattern must be maintained. The hierarchies exist for a reason. Without order, without chaos, Chen interrupted, there can be no growth. We learned that lesson from our own history. Every great advancement we've made came from someone questioning the established order, seeing connections others missed, or simply trying something that everyone else said wouldn't work. And that, the architects resonated, is why you succeeded where others failed. The Starweaver was never meant to be a weapon or a simple vessel. It is a key to understanding the quantum nature of reality itself, a nature that requires both pattern and possibility, structure and chance. The vast structure pulsed, and with each pulse, more quantum anomalies appeared throughout the sector. But unlike before, these weren't random fluctuations. They were doorways, portals to reaches of space and understanding that neither humanity nor the Council had dreamed possible. The age of rigid hierarchy is ending, the architects declared. The time has come for a new understanding, one that embraces both order and chaos, pattern and possibility. Humanity has proven itself ready to help guide this transition. The Council commander's crystalline form flickered with what might have been distress. You would elevate them above the established order. They are barely out of their solar system. We elevate no one, the architects corrected. We merely recognize potential. Humanity's handling of the Starweaver proved not their superiority, but their compatibility with the true nature of existence. They will not rule. They will teach, as they themselves learn. Admiral Chen stepped forward. And what exactly will we be teaching? Balance, came the response. The Council brings order. Humanity brings innovative chaos. Together, along with other species we have watched develop, you will forge a new understanding of reality itself. The Starweaver was merely the first step. There are more keys to be found, more patterns to be understood. The quantum gateways pulsed with invitation, offering access to technologies and understandings that would reshape civilization itself. But they weren't being handed the keys to the universe. They were being offered the chance to earn them, to learn and grow and discover alongside the very beings who had shaped life itself. In the end, the Council fleet departed not in shame, but in thoughtful silence. The architect's vast structure folded back into its quantum pocket universe, leaving behind only the gateways and a promise of guidance for those ready to learn. The Starweaver, once disguised as garbage, now stood revealed as what it had always been, not just a test or a key, but a symbol of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to find meaning in chaos, to see patterns where others saw only randomness, and to face the unknown not with fear, but with curiosity and determination. Admiral Chen stood at the bridge window, watching the quantum gateways shimmer with possibility. Well, she said to her crew, a slight smile playing at her lips, it seems we have some teaching to do. And some learning, Maya added, already studying the new patterns emerging from the quantum field. That's what humans do best, Chen replied. We learn, we adapt, we grow. And we help others do the same, even if it means breaking a few laws of physics along the way. The Starweaver's quantum core hummed with renewed purpose as humanity prepared to take its first steps into a universe far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. The gift that had been meant as an insult had become the key to a new age, one where order and chaos would dance together in endless possibility.